Did you ever take a sip of water and think, that's not right?
Yeah, that wasn't water.
So yes, assuming that you're not taking a sip from a nice tall glass of bodily fluids, sometimes water actually does go bad or taste flat or go stale. We have different terms that we use for it, but if you leave water out and it's not circulating and all that, it will go bad. Now, why exactly is that? It turns out that there's not a lot of like set explanations for it, but there are people who do research into water who, when polled by Wired, gave some ideas of why it might be. And actually, there's a lot of different reasons, so we're going to go through a few of them. First of all, as water rises to room temperature, its aroma and bouquet shift. So this is sort of
Yes, the bouquet of the water.
blackberries and loam. So this is sort of a temperature explanation. The warmer the drink, the faster the molecules are bouncing around and the stronger the aroma. So if there is some kind of flavor in the water, maybe from like regional variation or some sort of algae or something like that, the warmer it is, the more that you're going to actually taste it.
Yeah.
So if you cool down your water, if it's stale, it might not taste as bad. So that's one solution you can use. The other is sort of a societal thing. This is something that we do in America and in a lot of places around the globe. Water treatment plants add chlorine to wipe out potentially deadly pathogens. Chlorine is volatile and it quickly dissipates into the air. Tap water drinkers may just be conditioned to think chlorine means fresh water, which literally means that fresh water tastes chlorine-y.
No, yeah, I mean, the thing is are you one of those people that can taste the difference between a bunch of different kinds of waters and from different water
If it
bottles
like
and
has
things
like
like
metal
that?
in it or something, yes, sometimes. I don't think I'm the most sensitive to that, no.
Yeah, so I'm like very, very sensitive. So especially when I go to different countries, like the water tastes completely different than like the tap water here and things like that. So it's interesting that, you know, if you have tap water versus your bottled water or something, one is left out at night or something like that, of course it's going to taste different because of not only the heat, but because you're comparing the flavors and things like that.
Yeah, it's so weird though that like something like chlorine, which obviously if you were to drink like a bunch of it, it would be bad for you, but the little tiny bit, it's sort of
But
reassuring,
you're not
it's
supposed
refreshing.
to drink cool water?
No, you're not supposed to. Okay, so the next one is, again, sort of a time that it's sitting thing. As water sits out, small amounts of carbon dioxide dissolve into the water. This forms carbonic acid, which may lower the pH just slightly. Tiny amounts of other gases, like acetone and aldehydes, may dissolve in too. So it's not just that the chlorine is leaving, it's that other things can slowly enter into the water and literally
Like
change its
bugs
pH.
too.
You might be drinking a tall glass of wet bugs.
Yeah.
Yeah, if it has a lot of shell in it.
Bug infused water.
Exactly.
They'll be selling it at Whole Foods next week.
Oh, and it's going to be quite expensive. And then the final one is kind of the most disgusting. You're not necessarily actually going to have bugs in your water, but there might be little tiny things in your water. Algae makes earthy smelling molecules like geosmin and 2-methylisoborneol. Oh, that wasn't bad for a political science major. To which the human nose is incredibly sensitive. Geosmin, incidentally, also gives rainstorms their post-rain aroma and catfish their muddy taste. So these are things that can be in the water, perhaps in small quantities. The longer you live it out, the more times it has to sort of reproduce and spread and all that. And so you might be tasting that as well.
No, thank you.
Yeah. So here's the solution to every one of these: is drink actual fresh water that hasn't been sitting. Now, if it's like post-apocalyptic, you might have had a bathtub full of water, and then beggars can't be choosers when the
That's true.
zombies come along.
That's very true. Or if you use like a glass bottle or a mason jar for your water, you might avoid some of these things.
Exactly, yeah, you can actually seal it off. That's not a bad idea as well. So I found it both interesting that they didn't have one big set explanation that they can rely on, but they do have these interesting theories, and I will be more careful with my water in the
I
future.
think it's also important to point out that it's not water going stale.
Yeah, it's not
It
literally going
yeah,
stale.
the water just
yeah.
actually tastes slightly different because of some of these proposed ideas, but the water's not actually going stale. So if you still enjoy the taste, you can still drink it. Stay hydrated.
Yeah, enjoy your algae, and we'll see you in the next video.